Spotify is publishing AI generated songs from dead artists without permission. So there are some deceased artists like Blaze Foley and Guy Clark. They did not get permission from their estates or labels, and they're just generating music from them and publishing them as if it came from these dead artists. Now, we've already covered a related article. The more that Spotify and companies like this continue to do that, so you're going to start to see things like books that were written by people who are deceased. You're going to start to see things like music videos. You're going to start to see movies. You're going to start to see TV shows. You're probably even going to start to see things like video games and even maybe even programs, software programs. I mean, the list goes on. Things that are generated by people who have long been deceased and yet are now AI generated. This is going to continue to be a problem. I believe yesterday we went over an article where Spotify is publishing more and more AI bot listeners. Let's see if we can find out which one. Yeah, here we go. Spotify is releasing more AI generated music. I believe we went over this one yesterday. And what's happening here is that the more AI generated music they're producing, the more AI bots are coming in and listening to it. Spotify is going to essentially neuter their own advertising. What advertiser is going to want to pay for fake bot views? And I had to think about this since yesterday. And you know what I thought of? Here's what I thought. There is a way around this. There was somebody who mentioned this. Let me just talk about this briefly. I'm ignoring chat. There was somebody who talked about this online and said, yeah, but you know what? When I do something like a Google search, so think about a Google search and you type in a prompt, not a prompt, but a query, and you come up with all the articles. Man, this sucks because I have to go through all the articles and figure out like which links are good, which ones are relevant, and then distill that information. Like, it's really annoying. And I get hit with ads everywhere, and websites run slow and all of that stuff. When I do the same search on an AI system, I get all of that result distilled for me because the AI knows what I'm looking for and understands like my preferences without the ads. You have you have an admission and then you have a problem. One is the admission. If anybody tells you that, what they're admitting is that they're vastly unsatisfied with the state of tech in the past 10 or 20 years. Because what they're doing is they're complaining about all the enshittification of stuff that I complain about here all the time. Stop leaning and relying on all of these third-party frameworks like React and Vue and Svelte and Vite and Python packages and NPM packages and Composer packages and all of this abstraction and obfuscation. Stop going to that as your default mode of operation. Of course, that's going to lead to slower, laggier, more buggy websites that have trash data, that want your ads, that want your subscriptions, because we've lost the ability for companies to make money in this industry. And then you've presented a problem, which is now what you're doing is you're providing the advertiser's solution by stating the problem. What you're saying is AI generated queries provide you a safe space to avoid all of this buggy crap that has no ads. Perfect. So if I'm an advertiser, you know what I'm going to do? Here's what I'm going to do. Beep, boop, 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 beep. Hello, Sam Altman? Yes. Hi. This is Spotify. Hi, yeah, this is a Spotify CEO. Yeah. We hung out, just the other day. Yeah. We did a bunch of stuff, probably some of it like, bordering on the illegal, because we're the bourgeois and we get to do whatever we want and kind of get away with it, right? We have so much money. The damn peasants have a safe space. What on earth, Sam Altman? What on earth possessed you to give the peasants a safe space from advertising. Listen, man, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to pay you a boatload of money that just comes out of my ass because, this entire industry is just made up of fake money. It's just monopoly money. I'm going to send you some of this monopoly money. And what I want you to do is I want you to inject ads into ChatGPT. And then Sam Altman goes, oh, I don't know, man. That might be asking for a little too much. Look, the best I can do, all right, is maybe just one ad at the beginning, all right? And then the Spotify CEO goes, okay, bro, I gotcha, all right? I'll accept that as long as you bring, some good stuff, some good stuff for us to have fun on the next yacht party. But what I really want you to do then is I want you to make sure that when people prompt certain prompts, that they end up on Spotify links, okay? I want you to guide the AI so it ends up on Spotify. I'll pay you boatloads of money. Or you know what? You can just have free access to my yacht for the next year. And Sam Altman goes, yeah, bro, now we're talking. That's exactly how this goes. That's what's going to happen. Your experience is currently safe, but it's not going to be safe for long. You don't think these people know exactly what they're playing? They do. And they know how to make money off of it, and advertising is going to find a way to end up in front of your eyeballs. The problem is that all of you smooth-brained AI hypists do not realize that you're actually just giving yourselves an even easier method to be affected emotionally and mentally and otherwise by the information that's provided to you by a sycophantic AI that's going to direct you in these paths and say, look, doesn't it give you the warm and fuzzies to have a prompt and then I give you the answers and it aligns with the stuff that you like? And you go, yeah, man, it does. Yeah, man. And then you're like affected in one way or another, impacted in ways you don't even realize, which I'm not talking out of my ass here. We've gone over the scientific studies that prove that this happens. So all you're doing is just funneling more and more methods, more and more power to people that you shouldn't give this much power to. Your cognitive sovereignty should be one of the most fundamental things you should be protecting. And instead, what we seem to be doing is running headlong into a cognitive offloading. It's mind-bending. And then you go, yeah, but at least I don't have to load up a slow website with a bunch of advertisements, though. In any case, there's my take on this kind of stuff that's happening. Because I did have to think about it a bit more deeply. Like, why would they like neuter their own advertising abilities? And the answer is they're not. They're just providing a new avenue. And it's far more powerful. Because Google searches, for example, you do have to put in more effort into it. It's not as easy to manipulate you using Google searches, although doable. It's not as easy to manipulate you using social media, although doable. It's much easier to manipulate you using AI because you're already bought in. Okay, so I just want you to consider that the next time that you think about how these companies are going to operate and how they're going to find ways around, what seemingly seems like a self-attack, if you will.